Let's get to the bottom of this one. Unspoken truths that I miss one. Tap into the minds of the people, rather acknowledge before I dismiss one. Atheists, Muslim, Christians, Buddhists, they all got usage. All got perspective, it's a collective. Get to the bottom where the truth is. With our hearts uncovered. Where you detox from all of the lies you smothered. What them tries could have killed you, but with faith you recover. Yup. Peel off the makeup, we finna take off. Never said it'd be a cakewalk. Meditate till we charged up. Execute goes regardless. Decalcify my pineal. Breaking language barriers, we saw millennials. Planets passing age rotations, down me we owe. So down me we know. Sometimes we can be slow, that's why my ears open. Every drop you add could complete the ocean. Speak up, play your part too. Been vulnerable, it's so hard to.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kimberly with the Unseen Twisted Truth. We are the People's Podcast, and I have Henry. How are you all tonight? We got SGF Graham. You got to turn your volume down. Can you hear us, SGF Graham?
Peace. How y'all doing?
Peace and love. Peace and love. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Opportunities opening up. I'm putting myself in a position to be able to go forward with them. So I'm feeling good.
That's wonderful. We're supposed to have a guest on, but her son is sick, so we'll see if she's able to join us or not. No worries, though, if she can't. But anyway, so we want to talk about striking a healthy balance between self-love. Kendall, we want to peace and love, Kendall.
Hello, hope all is well.
I'm glad you made it out of Walmart.
Oh, yeah. That was a nightmare for me.
Yeah, it can be tricky.
Yes, it triggers a lot of feelings that I don't like, so I'm like, yeah, I'm out. I can't do this.
Yeah, I feel that. So we want to talk tonight about striking a healthy balance between self-love and self-absorption. What does that sound like to you, SGF Graham?
To me, self-love is a beautiful thing. I have seen people that were so absorbed in their self-love that they saw nothing else that if it didn't have anything to do with them. But I also understand it because it seemed like the people that became rich were extremely selfish. They would use people against themselves. So I understand people's mission. They see it seems like the only way to get to the money is to be self-absorbed and figure out how you can use everybody to step on them to get there versus self-love and also actually loving and caring about what others have going on. So it's I've seen people try to balance it, but most fail from what I see.
Can I show you that?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, we had some comments coming in from last week. Yeah, some Tuesdays. Both of those.
It says live now, and I'm going on live now, and it's not taking me to your live now.
Strange.
I don't like about it the Unseen Twisted Truth took it right to Unseen Twisted Truth.
Sorry, we had some technical difficulties.
Anyways, no, I agree. So, Kendo, what do you think?
What was the question?
The title?
Oh, right. Sorry, I'm just catching up.
It's okay.
When it comes to self-love and self-absorbing,
striking a healthy balance between them.
I do believe there should be a balance for how we are with interactions for ourselves with our daily routines to do better each day. For instance, I'm still getting over from being sick, and I'm still trying to find my balance with my energy, and I'm still trying to be okay for what I do on a daily basis.
Okay. So for me, the definition, because people throw narcissist around constantly, and they say that, this is it and this is that. And that when we practice self-love, we tell everybody to love themselves, and that's what we promote. And as we're promoting self-love, we need to let them know there's got to be a healthy balance, though, because you can't just promote self-love if you don't know the healthy balance between loving yourself and overly loving yourself. Now, this is just my opinion. Sometimes if you love yourself too much, it may get to the point where it becomes an addiction or a mental illness of some sort. Because then you forget about other people and you are not mindful of them, and you don't realize that they too exist in this world because you're so wrapped up into your self-love. I'm gonna let Henry read the description, and I'm gonna let Henry have his take on what it means to him.
It's a heck of a long one here, so bear with me.
You can break it up. It
I'm
don't have to be all of
gonna
it.
break it up, and maybe we can tackle certain parts of it in segments, which makes a heck of a lot more sense. And we'll go number one: healthy self-love. What it looks like. Healthy self-love means recognizing your value, taking care of your mental and physical well-being, and practicing self-compassion. You set boundaries, prioritize needs, but also remain empathetic and considerate of others. An example is when you take rest and recharge when you're feeling drained, but you're also available to support a friend when they need you. And then what to watch out for is being mindful, not isolating yourself too much or neglecting these needs of those close to you. Healthy self-love includes balance with your relationships. And then two, that moves us to self-absorption happens when you become overly focused on your own needs, emotions, and experiences to the point where you may disregard others while you're still focused on self-care. It's done at the expense of others' needs or feelings. Example, you constantly talk about your achievements and problems without showing interest in what others are going through, or only spend time focusing on your own success. And what to watch out for. If you find that your conversations are mostly about you or avoid engaging with others' needs, it could be a sign of self-absorption. It's important to listen and engage with others in a meaningful way. And the next one on that list is narcissism. And I think it's a good idea to stop right there. And I'll put my 2 cents in. I appreciate what you said, SGF Graham. Especially, I think maybe it's just my opinion that wealth can be tied to a little bit of that. And importantly, before that, maybe the search for wealth, in my opinion, can lead to that. Self-absorption probably doesn't reach the exact heights of what we're going to talk about next, but it certainly looks like a precursor to developing or maybe exhibiting maybe an underlying mental disorder, because obviously next on that list is narcissism, and that's almost clinical in comparison to being self-absorbed. So I guess watching that balance is tantamount to maintaining balance in everything with what we do, and the warning signs to look out for maybe if you could fall into that kind of hole and push it further into narcissism. So I'll leave it at that. There's probably a lot to talk about.
See, and I wanted to mention that, when people will say to you that you love yourself a lot and you love yourself too much, and that you're putting up all these healthy boundaries and whatnot, and that maybe you're thinking of yourself over someone else. And I think that it could be such a thin line or gray area at times. And it's all about perception, honestly, because if you're alone in your house and you're just focused on you, I don't see that as being unhealthy. Now, if you're alone in your house thinking of you and you're unmindful of other people that you have obligations for, then that's when it becomes unhealthy. And I think it's just such a weird line, because we always promote self-love, 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 and we don't give them a chance to say, hey, there's such thing as maybe too much self-love. What do you think, SGF Graham?
Uh-oh.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I promote self-love. So I see it as something very important into the well-being of somebody's confidence. Um, when I see people that allow others in groups to constantly cut them off, the first thing I think to myself, they don't love themselves enough, to speak up. Like, hey, you cutting me off. Like just the simple stuff like that. Like I work with kids. I see kids that are very timid that will be, if it isn't corrected, they'll be what I'm talking about. Or what if the thing is, when people find their worth, what I'm realizing in this woke community, everybody is so willing and giving until they feel they found their worth, and then they're above and beyond. What if they're not still willing to learn, they don't have nothing to learn anymore. They've learned chakras and they're happy with that. They've learned tarot cards and they're happy with that, or whatever, instead of learning all aspects. Um if you can't have self-love and be hateful towards everybody else. Whatever. Now you just have a false sense of security. Whatever, and that's what I'm trying to get at. Whatever, I'm skipping all over the place or whatever. People get self-love and false sense of security completely misconstrued, and see, Henry agree with me or whatever. The false sense of security makes them think that they have so much self-love, and it's really just wrong or whatever, to where nobody else matters. And I really feel like that's the thing that need to be talked about, how to help that false sense of security. 'Cause nobody really understands outside of this community. If you was to tell somebody to explain self-love, they'll be like, I love myself. Like, that'll be the best answer they'll have.
That's a start, right? I think you mentioned something important when you said young people. I think with a lot of things is putting fundamental foundations, these things is easier to instill in young people than it is to try and correct in an adult who's having that specific problem. That transcends to a lot of things. And then Kendall said she's still learning every day, as which we all are. Take a minute to answer some of these. Vince Swanson, gotta love and believe in yourself. Yeah, you do. You most certainly do. And that's what we're all talking about here today. Fred, I'm at work, so I can't stay on. Good luck with it all. Oh, Fred, he says, thank you. Same, telling her I said hello, jamming with Fred, someone I know from the real world. Thank you, Fred. Appreciate that. Kimberly, peace and love. Thank you.
So do you feel that that self-love can be dangerous sometimes or never?
Talking to me,
Yes.
dangerous. I believe it's dangerous mostly because that false sense of security. It's not really self-love. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, it becomes dangerous because you can't even correct them. And if you try to correct them, from what I see, it usually becomes physically violent. Whatever. So yeah, I would say it's dangerous most of the time.
So is that considered self-love or self-absorption?
I would say absorption,
Okay, yeah.
self-absorption. That's what brings the false sense of security.
Well, what this question can go out to, I say Kendall, just because we'll add her onto the panel here and put her on the spot. What do you think the thin line is between them, and how can we recognize it?
Can you repeat the question, please?
What would be that line between self-love and self-absorption, and what would be some tells or things to where would you consider crossing it?
I think it's not being recognized or underappreciative in some facts and terms when you give too much and it's not enough. on some levels.
It's good that you said giving too much, because it's not always probably directed assault at somebody. Sometimes it can be just allowing too much in, or I like that. It's a different example. The best thing about the show is we get different examples.
Mhm.
I find entitlement that when some people are self-absorbed, they feel entitled. They feel like they are God of all, God of every, and that this is what their way is the right way, and there's no other way but their way, because that's just how it is. And I really want to tap into narcissists, and that's what we're going to talk about next, because that's when it becomes a mental illness. That's when self-absorption becomes toxic and unhealthy. And we didn't want to mention toxic in the definite or in the title, because it's so thrown out there and so used often that it's misused.
Mhm.
I believe.
It's just kind of funny, you think of self-absorbed, and I am going to look at like wrestlers, like a pro wrestler like Hulk Hogan or something like that. I'm just using an example. But you see people who put themselves in self-absorbed positions, and it's mostly for art like that. Maybe if they act like that, they're obviously absorbed. But if they're doing something to help people, obviously there might be a line there too, where self-absorption can be good to a degree, but maybe as long as you're not stepping on people. But of course, when stepping on people, it's going to bleed into narcissism. So
Yeah.
I feel like I can read on to narcissism.
Go ahead.
Let's start with a cool example. Narcissism and what it looks like. It involves an inflated sense of self-importance, a need for admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. It goes beyond self-love and enters into a mindset where you believe you're superior and deserving of special treatment. Example, you demand constant praise and attention, expecting others to always validate you. You may disregard or belittle others' feelings or needs, believing your own are more important and what to watch out for. If you feel entitled to attention, manipulation, or control in relationships, or struggle to empathize with others, it's essential to reflect on these behaviors. Narcissism can damage relationships and hinder personal growth. And I can. Well, actually, I'll save the last part because it says how to maintain a healthy balance. So then we can see how well we did, I guess, on the podcast.
Do you agree with that, SGF Graham?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I know them at work. I actually had somebody tell me that they love to gaslight people. I just looked at them like, oh, this is something you intentionally do. Oh, okay. Or they exist, and I guess you are right. I would put it under self-absorption. Never thought
Yeah.
about it, but I would put it up under there. Because they think they're just so above and beyond that they can twist you. They can twist whatever you say to where they're still right. And it just baffles me sometimes. I think they beat me sometimes because I just get quiet and walk away. Like, I'm just surprised that I'm like, you still right, right? Oh my God. Like, just walk off like, oh my God. Yeah, that's self-absorption. You're right about that.
You know what I've noticed though? Some people, when they become narcissists, they are narcissists by, like, they have narcissistic tendencies. They're by like association. It's not what they truly are. It's because they've been surrounded by it so long that they become it.
Mhm.
They start picking up the traits of it, and they start inhabiting that, and it becomes so familiar to them that they exude it. And I don't think that's their intention.
No.
But I just think they're not aware that that's what's been done to them the whole life, so now they're doing it.
Oh yes, monsters are made, right. It can blossom into a full-blown sociopath, which the empathy part of that's very important, because once that empathy is completely turned off for anybody, and you are in it for yourself, especially if you're really smart about things, that can make it very dangerous. And I'll be the first to say it. I've been guilty of this, and it was primarily when I was drinking.
I think when I was guilty of it is when I was in unhealed state. So I see where you say about drinking, because before I realized that, I thought everybody who come at me I was under attack all the time, and I felt that no matter what was said, I was going to try to spin it and twist it so it would fit my narrative, because I wanted to be right and I wanted people to see where I was coming from, even though I was not coming from a healthy state. But although I wasn't coming from a healthy state, I didn't know that neither, because I was ignorant to it. Because when we're in that, mental health part of life, and when we get to the point where we're unhealed and we're dealing with trauma and stuff like that, we don't realize really what we're doing to others. And if someone brings it to our attention, especially if we're manic, they bring it to our attention, we feel attacked, and we will reflect and we will say, no, I'm right and you're wrong, because in my state of mind, which is a delusional state, but in my state of mind, I'm correct on how I feel. And I've seen someone lie so much that they convinced themselves, like anybody would believe that they were telling the truth because they lied so well, because they believed their lie. And they're not wrong for that, because they didn't realize that it was not it wasn't the right reality.
Right. It's like reverse pleading the fifth. Right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's funny. Oh man, don't put ums and ahs in your podcast, but it happens sometimes. I guess a horrible example of this, and I'm sure that everybody it wants to have a better story at some point, but y'all like one-uppers? Y'all know one-uppers, aren't they fun?
It's for tatters.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. It's a hard conversation to have with those people.
What would Kendall say?
We got Kendall on here. It can become obsessive when people try to be controlling over toxic situations or even relationships. That's where the abuse starts, and we don't see it.
Neither, both parties don't see it. When you are like SGF Graham said, he said he had someone that said they liked gaslighting, like they enjoyed that. I don't know if they realized what that really was and how really unhealed that is, how trauma and toxic that really is, that you enjoy that. That'd be like saying I just like offing people.
Yeah.
That's just what I like doing. So don't get too close to me, because you never know. And
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. It's not a normal state of mind or a normal state of thinking for them to be proud and boasting it.
No, that's sadism. That's sadism when you like torturing people.
So for them to even say they like gaslighting, that's not healthy. That's some unhealed trauma somewhere that needs to be looked at and probably talked about, and they really don't realize that how wrong that is, because in their eyes that probably seems normal to them.
Normal or even a game would be
Yeah,
terrifying.
it's a game to her. Like she was laughing, and like me and the other person she was talking to, we just looked at each other like, all right, watch her. Like, don't even fall for her tricks.
Yeah, that's scary.
I personally have dated somebody. Kendall said reverse manipulation. Yeah. I personally dated somebody who was a narcissist, and they enjoyed it also. And to them, it was power and control, because they loved the fact that they could manipulate somebody and belittle somebody. And at the end of the day, they didn't realize what they were doing to themselves either.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm pretty well reserved on the podcast, but I guess IRL, I like messing with people sometimes. Right? It can be fun. I was terrible when I was drinking. Really, not to one up anybody, but I would do quite a bit just to make sure I could have my own peace, or what I thought was peace, and I kind of screwed a lot of people over in that aspect. But I kind of got good at tricking people and manipulating situations to turn it out in my favor. Kind of horrible looking back at it, because I never really looked at myself in that high of a light when I was drinking.
Yeah.
Maybe I was filling that void.
I have something about myself that I take pride in. And I love this so much about myself, that I never say nothing with an angry tongue when I'm in that state of mind. I will not say something to hurt somebody because I'm in a temporary state of mind. And I love that. I take pride in that. And even when I was in an unhealed position in life, I still never done it. And I'm so proud of myself for that, because I know a lot of people say things in a temporary state of mind because they're hurting, they want someone else to hurt. And they don't even care what it is that they're saying. And a lot of times it's their really truth. It's their truth how they feel. They say, "Oh no, I was just kidding," or "No, I didn't mean it," or "I'm sorry." After a while, you realize that's really their truth. SGF Graham, have you ever met somebody who said things out of anger, or have you ever been have you been guilty of that?
Yeah, no. Um, the reason I say that because my brain ticks different. When I know somebody is trying to hurt me, a lot of times I can back off or whatever, but sometimes I just want to give them their own medicine. It's never really personal. That's why I say no, because it don't be out of anger. But I never come back and spew the hate like they did. I would come back in some intelligent way that's actually low key more insulting, and they really don't have nothing else to say or whatever. Like that's how I go, but it's never out of anger. It's, dang, you really trying to hurt me right now. All right, that's the game we playing. All right, here we go, and give it to them, because my motto, the reason I don't attack people, because my motto is for every action there's a reaction, and you don't get to control that reaction. So stepping on somebody's shoe might get you shot. You don't know how they're gonna react. You don't know what you just said, what it was gonna do to me, but you tried to trigger me just now. I'm not gonna give it to you out of anger, but I'm gonna give you what you want.
That's important.
I can't meet somebody with the same energy they give me.
No, that's why I've learned to pause.
I love the pause.
Pause and look at them, and then if you're really attacked by that situation, you can ask them, "Is that designed to attack me or hurt me?" You can state plainly how you feel, because largely people who are closed off like that don't want to hear that. They want to crumple up like a daffodil, and it's not good to give that satisfaction. You hold the power. You don't have to let people have that power in conversations.
Yeah,
But
that's what I love. I love the power, because when someone comes at you in a negative state of mind or in that heavy energy, in the dark space, you not meeting them there, and then later on when they sit and they dwell on what they did, they're in their head. They can't be thinking they're winning because you did not match that. So in their head, they're like, "Wait a minute, hold on. I didn't get someone to meet me that. So maybe I'm in the wrong." It's that power over my energy that I love to hold on to. I will get to the point where I will tell somebody about themselves, and I will be like, "What you're doing is not acceptable, and I don't appreciate it because I won't do it to you." So I'm all about giving me the respect that I give you, but I will not meet you in that anger space. I will not meet you where you're at. I will come at you calm. And if I do raise my voice, it's because you're not receiving what I'm saying at all, because all you're doing is hearing me. You're not listening to me. And there's a huge difference between hearing and listening. And when you meet a narcissist, they don't see that. They don't see the difference between hearing and listening.
well, you know everything already.
Already. They knew what you were going to say before you even said it, because they wrote the book on it.
Well,
Kendall, go ahead.
a funny thing, the last time I just paused and looked at somebody, it was after my supervisor said something out their mouth, like they could physically do something to me, and I just paused and looked at them, and I walked away, and maybe like 30 minutes later, the security guard came and said, the supervisor said I threatened him, and I got to leave the premises. So, and that was all I did, was just pause and look at him.
It works.
Sometimes that's intimidating as hell.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that's a lot of power right there, because when you can silence somebody and you can hurt them with silence, You already intimidated them just by your presence without saying anything.
Oh yeah, you ain't gotta say nothing.
They were already intimidated before they even spoke to you. That's why they spoke to you ruthless, because they felt like they had to, because they were already afraid of you. Kendall, are you guilty of saying things out of anger and then realizing later that maybe you shouldn't have said that?
I would have to say yes. I have been guilty a few times for saying certain things or phrases, and then afterwards I realized, like, oh, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that in front of someone because now they're gonna hate me because of it. So yeah, I've learned the hard way for learning to walk away and be quiet when I need to be quiet.
I feel that a lot of people ain't, and this may sound very raw, but just know that it's authentic. I feel it very rewarding to not speak to certain people. It's harder when it's with someone you love, though. It's harder to not say something when you're so invested with it because you love them so dearly. I'd rather it be a stranger than someone that I really love.
Yeah, that pulls at your heartstrings heavily.
Yeah.
My mother was a narcissist.
Huh. I dated a lot of them. How was that? Did she say things out of anger?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then later on, did she apologize for them, or did she like try to show that that that's not what she meant?
You see, the thing is, when you get married into a narcissistic relationship with somebody you love, whether you chose that or not, apologies start to become hollow, and you get so confused down that road that you don't have a effing clue what the hell is going on or what they're going to do next, especially if they have a completely unpredictable and alcoholic nature. Now, you never seen those switchboard operators like in the 1920s, there's a bunch of women pulling plugs and putting them out and connecting phone calls. My mom was that with pushing people's buttons.
Like
Loud vehicle.
give me a give me a
Example.
narcissist example before I say, yeah, I was married to a narcissist. Like, give me a narcissist example. I might not really know what that is. Like, give me some more examples.
What's an example of a narcissist example? I mean, I could give you one. Examples: you demand constant praise and attention, expecting others to validate you. You may disregard or belittle others' feelings or needs, believing you are more important. And my little example to add to that would my mom would shit all over my father, calling him Tom the Tinkerer, which is really nice. It really got to him. And then when he would get upset and try to set boundaries up, she would say, "You can say whatever you want to me, Tom. I'll wake up in the morning and I'll be sober, and you'll still be a joke." And the stinging of the certain things she said like that haunt me. It's just brutal. She knew she was a piece of shit. I love my mom. I love you, Mom. It's okay.
I definitely been down Pop's path. I just say that. Yeah, okay.
I'm so sorry.
Wow, man. Like just listening to that, even though it wasn't the same names, like what I dealt with for 9 years, like it made me very cold for a long time. Like nobody couldn't get through on no getting to know me type thing. I always kept a shell up, like when nobody ever finna ever get me like that again. Like it destroyed a little piece of me. I ain't gonna lie. Like it's a little edge on me now that come from it.
I can receive that too because it does change you. It was hard for me to not take anything that I ever went through with me in life. It was so hard to not carry that baggage.
Message you up.
It does. I remember that person that tried taking my life. He would say to me things like, "I wouldn't have done that if you would have just done what I said, and if you would have just realized where I was coming from, then I wouldn't have had to do that to you." And I'm thinking like nobody has to do anything to anybody physically, mentally, or emotionally for any reason because they didn't do what you wanted them to do. That doesn't give you grounds to become an attacker and attack somebody all because they are not where you think they should be in life or what they should be doing in life, or it's not exactly what you think should be happening. And that's where the hard line is with a narcissist. Telling them it's okay to feel the way you feel, but I don't have to believe in that. And I don't have to be what you feel. That's so hard to get a narcissist to see that.
Oh no, because especially if you live with them, they want to break you down to the point where you can't fight back, especially if they're very malicious and sadistic about it.
Yeah.
And that can be just a nightmare. I want to jump on and just do the comments really quick. Kendall Cobb, I've learned to walk away on many situations, even if you love them. And yeah, that's what we're talking about, even though it can be really, really damn hard. And that's a hell of a good skill to know, is to be able to get away. You got to have some good peace. And then Kendall also says, you're worthless, etc. I could have, blaming others, what narcs would say. My dad would say you were a mistake and it wasn't my fault. Yeah, my mom. Narcissist. I don't mean to. I'm going to bring up examples of my mom because she just was a prime example. And she taught me how to play guitar and then hated me so much for doing it that she tried to kill me. At least I think. I couldn't get through to her. But, yeah, that's wild. Like, even she loved something and then realized that it wasn't benefiting her to that degree. And she just said, fuck it, I'll kill my child. I don't know. Wow. This sucks. Sorry, I'm going down memory lane here in kind of the worst absolute way. But I'm glad I'm on it with loved ones.
And not only that's a way of healing. When I was going through my healing journey and healing my inner child, I had to face it. And I had to know that it was okay, and I didn't know no better, and it was not my fault. And I forgave myself for allowing it, and I forgave myself for not being able to stop it because I was just a kid. When you're a child, you don't realize that that is not healthy. I was told I was only good for one thing, and I didn't know that that was not normal. I did not know that, I didn't know I was beautiful. I didn't know I was smart. I didn't know that I was worth anything because I was listening to what I was told. And I held on to that so much that when I would drink, and that's why another reason why I stopped is when I would drink, that's when I got into my trauma state. And that's when it hit me the most. And that I would be a hot mess, crying and crying and crying because I didn't realize how much it affected me on a daily basis until I got into an uncontrolled state of mind. And we tend to find people like that because that's what we're familiar with. We tend to find relationships that are identical to what we're used to for two reasons. One, we're hoping we can change them. Two, because it's so familiar to us that we know how to adapt to it.
That's scary, getting familiarized with toxic and dangerous health to your health patterns and having them feel like they're good.
80% of people go back to the same type of relationship they love.
That's right.
Because
right.
That's what they're used to. So even though they want better, that's what they attract.
And you know what the crazy thing is that you don't realize that you're doing it with different faces until you learn that lesson and you start growing from it and you heal and evolve from it. That you tend to also, not only do you take on that and start looking for that in people, but you also start becoming that. And you start doing that to others and start treating your children that way and everything because that's what was done to you. I love myself so much, not to the point of self-absorption, just the point of being proud that I did not do that because I had choices. I had the choice to either keep the cycle going or break it. And I'm so glad that I chose to break it because at this day, my son cannot say that I ever did that. I never told him I wish you weren't born. And I was told that from the time I was. So I'm so proud of myself for being able to do that. And even though my son got that in him, where he would say mean, hurtful things when he was angry, and I would never meet him in that angry spot. And it was hard for him to be able to control that because he would black out and he'd become somebody that he's not familiar with. And it's not because of me. I don't know if it's genetics or what, because his father was that way, but his father didn't raise him. I never done that to him, so I don't know how he got that. But he got to that point where he was entitled. He got to the point where he felt like he was deserved, because he didn't ask to be here, that he was owed for being here. And that's just weird to me. I can't wrap my head around that kind of thinking. Maybe because I've healed from it and that I begged to be here. It's different when you beg for life.
Begging 6 ways, don't we?
Yeah.
I didn't want to fall. You know, and I know some people. I know a couple of friends who are really bad about it, or ex-friends. I know one person who wants to get back into everybody's life, into a circle that once was, and sometimes that's just not correct. It's not the right thing to do. Sometimes amends aren't something you have to do in person. Sometimes it's just staying away at that point. And I believe that a narcissist, after witnessing it, will keep trying to integrate themselves back into a certain circle and get talk to you. And after you've clearly stated that my boundaries suggest that you are not healthy for me to be around anymore. Now, I've seen examples of it before. It's rough. And you might have known them for a long time. And once again, you think that's my friend. You know, maybe we can, you gotta be honest with yourself.
It's hard though when you want that love and you want to see, when you tell your mind that you love somebody and you see them in a different state of mind than what they really are. No matter how you see them with your eyes, you're still going to see them with your mind, and you're going to still see them the way that you wanted to always see them, until you tell yourself that is not normal. What you're thinking is not how they truly are. How they truly are is how they are. And that's the hardest thing to do, especially when you love somebody, to see them for who they truly are, not for what you want them to be.
Oh yeah, well that leads into a next topic that we weren't going to talk about, I guess, but now we're talking about is, can you fix them?
Can you fix a narcissist, SGF Graham?
Can they fix themselves?
Period.
No, I should love that. We got a great show.
Period.
I love you guys.
Period.
I'm getting some more tea. I don't get up as much as I used to. I'm allowed.
You can't fix anybody who doesn't want to change. And that's just with any addiction. I believe narcissist is an addiction. I believe that it became so toxic that it became habit forming, and they enjoyed it so much that it became an addiction to them, a game. And you can't stop anybody from writing those rules in that game until they want to do it themselves. They got to want to do it. With an addiction, I would not quit my addiction until I was ready to quit my addiction, because for me, not because someone told me to.
You gotta want it.
And the more that you tell a narcissist that they're a narcissist, and the more that you tell them they need to change, the more they're going to become a narcissist and not change. Kendo, can you fix somebody?
Nope, I don't think you can, because they have to be willing and desperate enough to fix themselves.
Yeah. I'm going to be the advocate for both sides.
Me too.
A narcissist isn't a bad person. A narcissist isn't somebody that is broken and unchanged and cannot change. A narcissist is not someone that needs to be thrown away and just say, you know what, you're no good. I believe that once they heal themselves and they realize that they can be better and want to do better, then they will be better.
No, there's a healthy balance type thing. You got to really telling a narcissist that is only going to force them.
Facts.
Well, it made me drink more when people said quit drinking, so I drank more to prove my point.
Facts.
I know
like any
sober
other-
narcissists.
Oh, I know sober.
And I would say the one thing that even I'm guilty of, we all talk behind their back, but nobody really tells them to their face. We just let them think that they're accomplishing whatever they're trying to accomplish with what they tell us or how they speak. And then when they walk off, we all talk about like, do they think we slow? Do we think we stupid? Whatever, but nobody says it to their face, and even including me. I'll be like, somebody got to tell you one day, because I really think you think that you're getting over on everybody when it's just easier just to shut up.
I would like to ask, and there's no way of a healthy way of doing it. Honestly, there isn't. When someone has an addiction and they're in that state of mind of so low, to reach them so they can open up, it's not easy, and it doesn't really happen often because they got those walls up there for a reason. It's like the demons. They brought this and he manifested this demon to protect them, that it became absorbing them, and they became it.
Yeah, you go into battle, you make sure you have your armor on. Meaning, I guess if you're dealing with a narcissist, you gotta know what's going on. It's hard. It takes clinical psychologists and things to sometimes reverse some of that damage, and it's dangerous. Go ahead,
Number one rule of the wise: say what you got to say and walk away. They can't argue with themselves. That wall is only up if you combat them. If you go back and
Yep.
forth. Well, if you say what you have to say and walk away, yeah, they're gonna say some things while you walk away, but they still have to sit with what you said.
You know, what I learned is that do good and be good, and good things will happen to you. And I stand behind that. I stand behind that, and be good to people, because it's going to come back on you. When you are out there and you think the world owes you something and that you got to treat people a certain way, it's going to be harder for you in the long run. It's going to be so hard for you, and all you're doing is hurting you. You're not hurting nobody else, because this lesson, you're going to have to relive it until you learn it. And we're all here to learn a lesson and not to mess up people along the way. I really would love to meet that person that was proud of being a gaslighter.
Yeah.
I want to know why. I want to know what they get from it and what joy do they receive from that. And
She
sometimes,
said she thinks it's funny to convince people that they did something that they didn't do. And she said she'll tell them like, "Ha, I just gaslighted you."
and that's probably because it was done to her a lot. I'm telling you. Usually people that do that is because it was done to them.
Yeah, that almost seems like a scream for help.
Yeah.
It's so
Bully system. You know that usually bullies are ones that been bullied one way or another, somewhere in life. Someone that touches somebody's usually been touched. Someone that hurts somebody's usually been hurt. So if it's that's how it is. We're not born to be assholes. We just become them by choice.
I've met some people who really challenge that, but yes, I do believe this.
And they can challenge all they want to, because at the end of the day, they're in their reality, and maybe they are accurate in their reality. I know a few manic narcissists in my life right at this present moment, and I will not tell them that they are wrong, because that's not my place.
I do you guys panel, do you go, or any commenters, do you think the majority of narcissists know that they're a narcissist? I would say no.
No.
Personally, I'm gonna answer my little comment like a narcissist too. My good friend from way back in the day, Jay Gill, says, "Shout out to Henry. Mad love for you and what you're doing, my friend." Thank you, Jay. Jay is really cool on social media. He's a very positive and uplifting person. I appreciate that.
Did y'all ever wind up taking any steps to heal them all?
To heal the people that were narcissists?
Yeah.
Oh no, I left them where they belong.
No, I was talking to Henry.
Oh, which people specifically, like my friend?
Like Maul. Did y'all ever make any ground with healing the narcissistic ways that Mom had?
No, your mom.
Oh, she died.
Okay, my fault.
I tried.
That
I
that
tried,
wasn't
but
okay. You tried. Okay.
her addiction really took over. You got to be some kind of narcissist to drink with a child in your stomach to begin with.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
couldn't think of something more self-absorbed.
Yeah.
So many comparisons.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Thanks for
ex-wife
asking.
did all that. Yeah, I always wondered because I wondered if how how could she ever change?
She changed for maybe a year of my life, and it fucked me up so bad. I saw a little glimmer, just a little speck of what could have been the smart, multilingual uh, person who had some love, the musical person. Yeah, it hurt. It hurt to see that year of sobriety.
You know the same thing with Danny's mom. The exact same. She changed when she was on her deathbed, and it wasn't the day of her deathbed. It was when she knew she was not going to be here around much more.
My mom was a monster right up to the end.
Y'all know, see, Danny's mom. She got sober, and then she after she got sober, he saw a great woman, and then she found out she was dying.
I don't envy that, but I'm glad that he knew that there was a good woman in there.
Yeah, it took a long time for him to realize that it wasn't just her, because for the longest time he always blamed her for everything, and then found out mostly was his dad for a lot of things.
I never got that close. He wouldn't even let my dad come in the room when she was dying, and he was sitting out in the hallway crying. My dad did not abuse my mom. He did everything for our family.
Do you think that's because of her not being able to face him and everything she done to him?
I would love to say that, but I believe it was 100% out of spite.
You think so?
Yeah, it's just the way it felt. She hated him.
But I think mostly towards the end, she probably hated herself for how she treated him.
I'd certainly like to say that. She gave me a warm smile. The only time I ever saw my mom healthy was when she had stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
That's what I'm saying.
And she was pumped full of fluids and gurgling at me on the hospital bed. And she had this big warm smile. And I couldn't understand a fucking thing she said. I wanted to stick a Newport in her mouth, despite everything. But yeah, she didn't last long after that. So at least I got a warm smile out of her before she died. This is a hard podcast for me, guys. I'm sorry.
My fault, man.
It's healing.
My fault.
No,
No,
it's
it's not.
healing.
It's not. It is healing.
He's going through a transition right now that he is able to be free, and this is the first time he's able to open up and let go and not worry about who's going to judge him. So this is good for him.
That's why I do the podcast. I need to learn about myself. And I feel like a self-indulgent, self-absorbed asshole when I have to look at the phone and do all this Facebook crap to do it. But I'm trying to do that without being self-absorbed because I care about this cast. I want it to work. So.
And you can't help someone heal if you can't heal. So I'm proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
Proud of you, man. For real, for real. But yeah, no, it's tough. I didn't realize how messed up I was until the beginning of last year. And it was the silliest thing that triggered it. The silliest thing that triggered it. I locked myself accidentally out of an office space that I was sleeping in. And I had to call my friend to come let me in, like my sister, to come let me in. And I was making so many different, not excuses, but like trying to say, justify for it, saying, I'll just go somewhere else. I'll just do this. As she was coming, and that wasn't going to make the situation any better. And she said to me, instead of trying to make the situation better, because you're not going to, just take the fact you did it, apologize that you did it, and live with that you did it. Don't try to make it better because it's making it worse by everything you say you could do, because you can't. And if you could, you would. And you would have done it instead of called me. But you called me, and now I'm coming in the middle of the night on sleeping pills to come let you in. And it's okay because I still love you. And I am not judging you. You're judging you by trying to make it better by making excuses of why it could be better. And I didn't realize I was doing that. And I stopped and I cried and I thought, I've been doing that my whole life. My whole life. Don't worry, it's okay. I'll just eat this or I'll just do this. And knowing that I'm really not going to do that, or I can't do that, or I don't want to do that. Trying to make things better by making it a different, by like, or diverting and reverting and trying to like throw breadcrumbs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's not a way. That's not a healthy way of being able to heal or to attack a situation. And I didn't realize I was doing that until it was brought to my attention. And then I stopped and I thought, and someone asked me why I was doing it. And I realized that my mom did that to me my whole entire life. And I didn't realize I was doing that too.
Yeah. It's nice to be able to learn a little bit, especially if it's from an outside source. You know, I learned from my fucking boyfriend, Harry, and I love him and I miss him, that I make people angry because I'm so anxious all the time, and I have such a hard time vocalizing how I feel to people because I feel they're not going to understand it or something. I don't get it why I do it, but I piss them off, and I piss people off by not letting them in, and not letting them know how I feel. So I'm trying to let people know how I feel nowadays, and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. I'm a closed off person. I hid most of my life in corners and closets from the nightmare. So it's just hard. Laptop died. Booting up. We'd love to have you back, Chef.
Kendall, you're learning as you're growing now, and do you realize some things that you've done your whole life that you just been aware of recently and that you're really working on?
I'm still learning how to work with boundaries and trusting people. So when it comes to the trust, it's really hard to be more open that way too. Sorry, my throat's still giving out. Oh my goodness. Yeah, when it comes to trusting and boundaries, I'm still always learning for how to be more vulnerable and more open to a certain degree.
Okay.
Yeah. Boundaries.
Yeah, I received that too.
It's something everybody has to work on, I think.
Yeah.
Not everybody. There's satire here, but I mean, it's just not normal as it is to not put up boundaries, I guess. We love each other. I think we're social creatures, right? I mean, that's the driving force of our existence, and it's hard. There's no rule book for it.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I grieved over my dog more than I did at the loss of my mom. And that's weird. And I know why. Because my mom had been dead to me years way before she passed. And it wasn't because of anything. It was because of everything. Because every time I gave her another chance and I tried to see the great in her, she showed me exactly why I shouldn't have came back. And like you said before about some of those bridges, we just got to let go. And it's hard. It's hard, especially when it's a parent or it's someone that we gave birth to or that we really invested in. I'm personally dealing with something right now that I am not allowing it to affect me in a negative manner because I cannot control it. And it sucks because I really want to be able to control it, but I can't control it. So I can't let it affect me. And it's the hardest thing for me to do. I am not able to see both of my hearts, and it's not because of anything I did. And anybody who knows me knows that I will fight for my grandbabies. And for me to not be able to see neither of them or talk to neither of them at all, not because of anything I did, just because I'm not what they wanted me to be, which is part of the cause. Because I am not part of the cause, I am now the problem, which is weird to me. I can't wrap my head around that, but that's not my place too. And I realize that. So as every day goes by and they're getting older and they're always going to know that I can't do anything. Grandparents don't have rights. I can't do anything. I can't make them want me in their lives. They're too young to do it themselves.
That statement, grandparents don't have rights. That's awful.
It is awful, but it's true.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I can do about it. And I'm okay with it, because at the end of the day, like I said, I can't control it, so I can't let it affect me. But every day it eats me up, because I was there for both of their lives extremely. And I was a big part in both of their lives. Very, very monumental moments, from walking to potty training to rolling over to loving, and to have that taken, have a voice to say, hey, I'm not the problem. I would never hurt my grandbabies. I'm not the problem. But yet I have to deal with it too. That's sad. And it sucks. But I can't undo it. So I can't allow it to affect me. But every day I think of it. It hurts. But yeah, both of their mothers must be dealing with something right now that's bigger than me. And that's the only way I can and be able to be okay with it, because both of them have to heal. Not from me, though. So, but it sucks when someone you love is hurting and you can't do nothing about it, and you can't stop it from happening. It sucks. My dad has early onset dementia, and he's had it for a long time, and it hasn't got worse, but it hasn't got better either. And he had a nervous breakdown, and they put him on a bunch of psychosis medicine and stuff like that, and it triggered dementia. So as he deals with this, every day is the same thing. Monotonous, just sitting there within his head every single day, repeating the same cycle over and over. And this is a man that would never sit down, constantly drove and traveled and owned a bar and did many things, constantly was out busy doing things, constantly busy doing things, laugh and joke and everything. Now just sitting here like a shell. And I said to him, has anything changed? And every now and then I'll get him, and he'll be like, no, and I don't know why I'm still here. He's just repeating this over and over and over and over, and there's nothing he can do about it. He's lost within himself, and he don't have that want to get better, and he can't get better. So like, that sucks. Being lost and knowing you're lost.
Imagine.
It also sucks knowing that you cause a lot of problems and you can't change them neither, and you hurt a lot of people and you can't make it right. And that's how my mom passed, knowing that.
I wonder if my mom. She must have.
She had to.
Must have.
She had to. And that's probably another reason why she didn't want your dad in, to be honest with you. It probably wasn't spite. It was probably for her, because she couldn't face him.
I'd like to think that. I'll never know.
No, but I'm almost giving it. Because when you're on that deathbed, you change. You come to a realization and change a lot of things.
Wish I could have understood her.
She probably couldn't understand herself. She was lost within herself.
No, I mean like physically, she couldn't actually verbalize. Yeah, it was rough.
Because she was drowning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew she said she loved me. It was one of the few times that actually she looked like she loved me. I knew she loved me.
Do you think it's because of what her parents did to her?
No.
They were good people?
I never met her dad, but her father, he served in World War II. He over there in the Philippines. He came back with malaria. And regardless of that, he ended up being a dean. And he's a professor of I believe Greek mythology. And what I know of him is that he was. I never heard anything bad about Clarence. And then her mom was the sweetest woman you ever met in your life, my grandma Scott. Sweetest woman you ever met in your life. I don't know what's going on.
Nothing.
But,
So,
yeah, she was a lovely woman. Wouldn't hurt a fly if she was a concert violinist. So it does. But yeah. But my mom. Let's see. There's a lot of music in the family. My mom and her brother. She had two brothers. They were both alcoholics. She had an uncle that was a severe alcoholic. It runs in the family, and I wonder if Clarence was an alcoholic, because I know 100% my grandma didn't drink. But I'll never know him either. So I get a little. It's just not worth it looking into with the lack of information.
I feel that. So, as chef grandma, I have to ask you a personal question, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Your ex-wife, were her parents good people to her?
Oh, we wait for it. Yeah, they'll be.
Okay, you may not be in.
Oh, my bad, my bad. According to her stories, no.
Okay,
So there's two different examples.
yeah. Because
Kind of.
my biological mom, her parents weren't good to her. Her father molested her and touched her, and he was a preacher, and he degraded her every chance he got in front of us. We saw it, so we know it wasn't just her saying it. It was something that was witnessed. I have really bad OCD. I apologize. I try not to, but it affects me.
What? Making sure the table's straight.
Straight.
Yeah.
So it doesn't fall over.
Yeah, that sounds like a problem, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But anyway, so
Can be. With anything.
so anyways, I've realized they were not really that good. And then and I know firsthand my grandpa made very inappropriate comments towards me. And I've seen things firsthand. So I know that that's a true statement. Yeah. She was the worst of the two evils. My father was a Rolling Stone by every definition of a Rolling Stone, and he was young, dumb, and full of
No moss.
no moss, and traveling everywhere with it, and loved everybody, no matter who they were and what they were.
That's hard on
From
kids.
what
Go ahead,
from what I see, her family is close knit. My kids talk about how much they play with their cousins and they see everybody. It's almost like she was just black sheepish, like she was just destined to go all the way. Like she was the one that decided to go the hood route, even though the part of United States that she's from, her family is very prominent, like very prominent last name. Um, and she just decided to go the other way.
Happens.
I don't see things happening for no reason, though. I can never ever see something just happening for no reason. There's always, you may not realize it or see it, but there's always a reason that something happens. Everything happens for a reason. Kendall, um, not to say too much, I know that you spoke on how your father was to you. Do you think that his parents were terrible to him?
I would have to say yes. My family comes from a long line of physical, verbal abuse, and they've been through so much. It's hard to comprehend for how far they've come to how much it's affected me and my family for how he became being a father figure in my life to the point it's like, yeah, it's just one of those things you learn to adapt with.
Do you guys believe that that unhealed trauma is passed on through genes without even seeing it?
Yes.
Yeah. Because my son adapted it from somebody.
Well,
It's
I
even
practiced
scientifically proven.
Okay,
Yeah.
then. Okay, then.
scientifically proven. Yeah, and alcoholism is genetically basically, as I was going to say, because my first drink was like, wow, I'm already an alcoholic. I remember it to this day how good it felt.
Well, because you were born with it in your system, right? So,
I got a hole in my chest, which is a weird physical defect. My brother's is even deeper.
yeah.
She really drank with Joe.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Sorry to talk about my mom. I feel like I'm an M or something.
That's crazy. But yeah, so I see that as almost like schizophrenia, bipolar, and all the other stuff that is passed on genetically. So yeah, I could see that.
I think the narcissism gene might be harder to calculate or not. I don't know. We'll have to get some genealogists on here.
Yeah, because I'm not quite sure.
My mom's name is Jeannie. I'm going to stop.
That's so funny.
Fuck.
And you're drinking out of a cup with a leaf. You're gonna
Yeah.
know what your spaghetti is pretty on you.
The great things about genetics, though, is you can break it.
Yes.
Like I will say, the two while I was married, I was the streets knew who I was, and when my kids moved to New York, the first picture I got of them was them throwing up things I didn't even think that they saw me doing, and my mouth just dropped like, oh wow, okay. And my younger two, that's when I started going through gaining my knowledge, and they're very inquisitive and they always ask me questions, and that's when I understood with them. I was like, oh wow, oh you can pass off these genes, you can pass it off through your DNA.
Oh, I know for a fact, thank goodness, that I won't have any alcoholic children. Because sadly, I think my alcoholism's so bad that I'm 100% okay with that. It's not going to have any children's. But I believe that's one way we can do it. It's kind of an extreme form, but I have my reasons, let's just say. Many of them. I'm going to read Kendall's comment too here. I have had open heart surgery at the age of 3. My family members have a lot of heart issues too from young ages. My mom's dad died young too from a heart attack, and years later, both my grandparents died from heart failure. Later on, I found my other sibling has an issue with her heart too. It is definitely genetics, and my voice is still recovering. And I canceled out of it.
That's
like
okay.
Dope.
It's okay.
Really, that smells amazing.
Yeah.
Can you guys smell that at home?
No.
Oh, thank you, Kendall. It's genetics.
So I think that our guest is not coming on. So we're gonna give a word of advice and wrap this up. What do you is a positive thing, a positive message that you could leave with this, SGF Graham?
Love others as you would love yourself.
Period. Okay. Kendall, what's a positive message you could leave with this?
Ooh, absorb the moment.
Okay. Henry, my SUN, what's a positive message that you could leave with this?
I do want to say that when SGF said that, it's the ultimate curse for a narcissist, right?
Yeah, kind of.
I can
But it's yeah.
treat everybody the same. And something positive I can say is, oh man, I don't know. There's so much. There's so much I could say. Love yourself, not to a fault. Forgive others for their faults and move on. Or you're just gonna just fall apart. If I didn't forgive them, I wouldn't be sitting here.
I love that you said that. Forgive yourself, forgive the others that have done that to you, and remember, love is a currency, the highest form out there. If you're worried about money, then change how you see things and start loving correctly, because that's the highest currency. Stay authentic to yourself and treat people the way you want to be treated. Be genuine and be kind. With that being said, thank you for allowing us into your homes and allowing us into your ears. Chat with us next time. Your opinion matters.
We want to know.
We do want to know. May your night be full of positive energy and high vibrations. Peace and love, everyone. Ashe.
Peace, peace.
Let's get to the bottom of this one. Unspoken truths that I miss one. Tap into the minds of the people, rather acknowledge before I dismiss one. Atheists, Muslim, Christians, Buddhists, they all got usage. All got perspective, it's a collective. Get to the bottom what the truth is. Where the heart's uncovered. Where you detox from all of the lies you smothered. When them tries could have killed you, but with faith you recover. Yup. Peel off the makeup, we finna take off. Never said it'd be a cakewalk. Meditate till we charged up. Execute goes regardless. Decalcify my pineal. Breaking language barriers, we saw millennials. Planets passing age rotations, down me we owe. So down me we know. Sometimes we can be slow, that's why my ears open. Every drop you add could complete the ocean. Speak up, play your part too. Been vulnerable with